Welcome to Monkeys Unfiltered, the podcast where chaos meets conversation, and the unexpected is always on the menu. Join hosts Leanne, Jason, and Hayden as they swing through life's absurd, hilarious, and thought-provoking moments. No topic is too wild, no opinion is too untamed. Get ready for unfiltered banter, laughs, and a barrel of fun. This is Monkeys Unfiltered.
Don't you just hate a minor inconvenience? It's one thing if there's a traffic accident or say the credit card machine goes down at your favorite coffee shop. But doesn't it just grind your gears when an easily avoidable nuisance arises? Like people who stop short in front of you? When things aren't put back where they belong? When megacorporations destroy the ecosystem because there's an extra nickel to be made by not following ethical practices? Today, the monkeys talk about what makes them bananas. Are you ready to get angry? Because we certainly are.
I love it. Makes me bananas.
Yeah, I thought that'd be a nice touch.
Mom makes me bananas.
Yeah, me too, honestly.
Well, y'all make me bananas.
But, like, isn't that for real, though? Like, honestly, it's relationships that, like, both bring the most enrichment to your life and the most frustration.
Yeah.
Like, I heard a quote the other day. It was... Oh, my goodness. I put it on Facebook. I can't remember for the life of me who said it. It was during a sermon. And the guy said... like through whatever you're dealing with, there's always someone praying for you, and likelier than not, it's going to be the person whom you're harming the most. Right?
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, though.
Yeah, and so, like, for me, that did happen because before I got back in the church, my wife had been praying for me for like 4 years straight, and I wasn't a very nice husband at the time. We've made vast improvements. I don't think there was anything like too terribly out of control or nothing. It's just I wasn't being a very good person in general. So
You were an okay person. You were just not lined up.
Yeah, I definitely was like out of whack. But yeah, come to find out, she'd been praying for me like 4 years straight, and like I'm way on the other side of all that now. So it's very cool. But I don't know. For me, it's something like people who stand in the middle of the aisle at a grocery store.
Like they're the only person in the world.
Or like stop their car in the middle of the road to like check directions or something. It's like, bro, there is so much earth and you are in the incorrect part of it for what you're doing.
Right? I mean, that irritates me too,
Yes.
but then I also, from time to time, will catch myself doing it because I just forget where I am.
But for you, it's okay,
Why?
though.
Why is it okay?
Well, no, I'm just saying everyone feels that way. It's like, oh, but it's just going to be a minute. It's just,
right. No, I get you.
It's nothing. Like, I'm just taking a
Right,
second.
no,
but everyone has that mentality.
Well, and that's it
You
too.
know?
Like, or I get caught up in the, hey, where was that thing on my phone? And then the next thing you know, I'm standing in the middle of the aisle scrolling on my phone. I didn't mean to stop in the middle of the aisle. I'm just not paying attention to where I am. I'm just forgetting that I'm out in public because, as I've stated many times, I'm just, I get tired of peopling. So when I have to people, sometimes it taxes my brain. Overly muchness.
Overly muchness. What a great term. No, it's especially bad for me, like when I'm pulling pallets through a store and there's people just in the way. Now, it's my mentality. Let me clarify here, because in the grocery business, that is just a reality. If there aren't people shopping, you have no reason to have a job.
Right.
So I respect the customer, even if they don't respect me, which is plenty of the time. I respect the customer and I yield to them at every turn because I truly believe that the customer has the right of way, because if they weren't there, you wouldn't be working. But it just baffles me how often that people either intentionally get in the way, see you coming and don't move, or like will step out in front of a like 1-ton pallet while you're pulling it down the thing, because they're just like, like, pay attention, bro.
I have a theory that they are actively conspiring against us.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, they're looking for payday, aren't they?
Because one of the things that irritates me is in that same realm of like in the grocery stores is when I get approached by a customer, be like, "Oh, do you have this whatever so and so?" And I'm like, "Oh, let me go check in the back." I look, there's nothing. I check on our little inventory app, there's nothing, and I come out and I'm like, "I'm sorry, we don't have it." And they'll be like, "I got it yesterday."
Yeah. Well, then what do you need it today for?
But we don't have it today
because you
we
bought
get a
it
truck
yesterday.
tomorrow. Like, I'm sorry, we just don't have any. She goes, "There's no way you don't have any."
You know what? You're right. You let me know when you find it.
So badly, I'm like, I wish where I worked was like those restaurants where like the whole shtick is just to be a dick to the customers, you know? Or,
Yeah.
or like they put like dunce hats on you and stuff like that. And so badly, I just want to look at them and be like, "Oh yeah, let me just pull it out of my ass for you real quick."
Yeah, like, can I get chicken tendies? You certainly can, little boy. Like,
So there's one in particular who she is an older lady and she's always looking for escarole, which is a type
I was
of
about to
lettuce.
say, what?
And my
yeah,
store
I'm like, I
doesn't
got escrow in my house. I mean, I don't.
my store doesn't carry escarole. Like none of those stores in my area carry escarole. Yet every single time she'll come in and argue that she's bought it there before. She's bought it at our store or the other stores, and she knows we have it. And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you.
Yep.
It's not a thing. It's never been a thing. It's probably never gonna be a thing because you're the only person that ever asked for it.
Have you
Right.
ever stopped
And
and
like,
asked her though, like, lady, what do I have to gain by telling you we don't have your escarole lettuce?
and what do
Well,
you
like,
have to gain by banging your head against the wall every single week about this same subject that you've been told
Right.
about?
well, it's like when my store first opened up because it's relatively new. It was like my manager told me she would come in and ask for it, and like we're really good about trying to special order
Right.
for people if we can. And so he would order one in and it would take a few days and she'd come back and she'd take like 2 or 3. But 24 come in a case. And she wouldn't be back for another week or 2. So we'd just throw out the whole case because nobody would buy
Right.
it.
Mm-hmm.
We'd throw out everything else there. And so it just got to the point where like we're not gonna do this unless she's buying the whole
Right.
case. Like
No.
we can't afford
Right,
that.
well, that makes sense.
And the reason supermarkets and like big box stores carry what they carry is because that's the things that
Right.
sell. Like, you may look at store shelves and say, nobody ever buys this. I don't know why this is here. Like, it doesn't necessarily pertain to your store, but in a general sense across the board, there are people who get paid lots of money to look on the back end of what the
Right, and
sales
figure out what
projections look
sells
like.
in that area.
Right. There's a
It
reason
makes
things
money.
are the way they are.
Right.
Or if you work for big name brands like I do, there's a particular region that will sell, X number of whatever, and that does really great in this market, but it doesn't do so well in another market. So the like mod sets will be different. It's like there's a reason behind everything. I know it doesn't seem that way, but it
Well,
just
I mean,
is.
that just doesn't apply to groceries on the shelf. That's like in life in general. Like most people are like,
That's forever,
"That's
yeah.
a stupid rule. I don't understand why they have it." I mean, there's a reason why things are the way they are, and I've just learned to just stop fighting it because it's just a big waste of energy to get all upset
yeah.
over stuff. I mean, there are some things that are like a principle of the matter that I'll put my energy into, but like why a grocery store doesn't have some certain type of lettuce, my next thing is, can I order it online and have it delivered? Or, but if you're talking about workplace pet peeves, so yeah, part of what
I know something.
Oh.
Sorry. I just, before we get away from it, I know something that you put your energy into. That's a stupid rule
What?
that
Well,
occurred
that is a
yesterday.
stupid rule, and that should have never happened.
So we were in the airport and we were getting food,
Yeah, you guys just came back from New York, right?
We did.
and we originally ordered it to go because there was nowhere to sit. And then finally a seat opened up while we were waiting on it. So we sat down, and when they called her name to get the food, she got the food and came and sat down, and they were like, "Oh, no. You ordered it to go. You can't eat here."
Excuse me?
And mom was like, what you mean? I paid for the food. I'm going to sit where I want to sit.
I said, and I wasn't ugly, and I didn't raise my voice. I was just like, look, I just spent $60 on a bowl of soup and 2 grilled cheese sandwiches. I'm going to sit right here at the counter and eat it. We'll just be a few minutes. Well, the sign says it's order from the table. And I'm like, had there been a table, I would have ordered from the table.
Uh-oh.
The bottom line is I spent $60 in your establishment, so I'm going to take up a few chairs here, which then goes back to the spatial thing. There were 2 chairs open there, and so it was like a bar, like a pull-up bar, right? Like a little ledge bar and these little stools. And there were 2 that Hayden and I could have sat at and ate our sandwich and went on to our gate, except for the woman on the other side of where Hayden would have, again, not aware of how much space she's taking up, has her chair on an angle and all pushed back, and Hayden can't even get into his seat. And her husband was like, honey, I think you need to move your seat so they can get in. She's like, they can do it. It's fine.
Ugh.
She didn't want to be inconvenienced to sit like everybody was intended to sit at the bar, but whatever.
Yep. And I think that's the main thing is like people are all the main
Right.
characters of their own story, and we all fall victim to that at some point, but some
Right.
people are just way more egregious than others.
Who is it? Is it Chris D'Elia, the Man on Fire special, where he's like, I'm not even the main character. I'm comedian number 3. The story's happening on the second balcony up there, and nobody can see me.
So the point that I was going to make before you interjected that very cool story was when you talk about
That grinds her
well,
gears.
no, he's 100% right. I did put my energy into saying, look, your rule is silly.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand it's like management of the small area in the airport or whatever, but I would have done what they say their sign said, which I went back and looked and it didn't say that. That was the other thing that bothered me. But anyways, when you talk about workplace pet peeves, so part of my work during the day, when I do a digital strategy for a client, it always includes a communication component because my clients always are needing to send out mass emails, like a bulk of information to a wide clientele. So we do it through an email format. And invariably the email will go out and it will pertain very important information. Like, here's how you access this, or here's where you're going to want to download that, or here's the deadline for this, or here's how much this is going to cost you. And invariably someone says, well, I didn't get that. Well, anyone who works in digital marketing knows that when you use a platform that delivers mass emails, there is an analytics and a tracking system in there. So I can go back and look and see right down to the second of when you opened that email. So you did get it and you even opened it.
Mm-hmm.
My pet peeve is you didn't read
Just
it.
didn't read it.
Because then when I point out to you, you did get it. Oh, yeah, here it is here. But let me ask you this. When is payment due? Or how do I access the itinerary? Or where are the tickets for this? It's like, did you read the email? I mean, we've established you've opened it. And you are clearly proving you opened it but didn't bother to read it. And it just, I like to be prepared. So I like to read. I like to know, like, have as much information as I can when I'm going into something. Where's this? Where's that? How do you do this? How do you do that? How can I get this? And I'm just thinking, 50% of my job is telling you all of this stuff, but you just don't listen. And man, I'm going through it right now with someone, and she was like, well, nowhere did you say that was the payment date and that it was going to be this much money. And I'm like, yeah, see here, this email. Well, where is it on there? Right here. Well, I didn't read that part.
It's right there.
And I'm like, okay, I can appreciate you skimmed for the information you thought was important to you because it was a rather lengthy email.
Whose fault is that?
the the due date and the payment balance was published. So for you to tell me I didn't tell you that is inaccurate. And now that that payment date is here and you need to make that payment amount, I mean, and you saying, well, I'm unprepared, not my problem. I mean, I don't mean to be rude, but there's nothing I can do for you, lady.
You're telling me our teachers were right? We should have read the full question before we answered it?
100%. 100%. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Amazing.
My wife would be proud of me saying that.
I know. You're a good teacher husband.
Yeah. I went in her classroom today to help her move some stuff around, do some heavy lifting because she's not capable. She's height challenged. Right now she's health challenged. Like, she got all kinds of stuff going on. She had me pull down from like on top of her cabinets. She had like 8 to 10 like milk crates with old papers in them from old classes and stuff. We threw it all away, and I had to carry
I'm
both
proud of her
giant
for
trash
that.
bags out to the dumpster myself. Yeah, me too. So I had to carry those heavy,
Right.
like, because you don't think paper
Right.
weighs a lot until you have 1,000 million reams of it, right? So then I had to pull all those to the dumpster and throw them away, and then I rearranged
Yeah.
her like little mini fridge and microwave in her closet and stuff. But you know what? That actually, no offense to my wife, I love helping her and all that. But one thing is people that's not necessarily pertaining to this story. It's just a good segue. People who don't respect your time.
Oh my gosh.
Truly, truly, truly. Like people who, just drone on, or, because especially if you're like a nice person and you don't want to like interrupt somebody or make them feel bad.
Right.
But you're just like, I'm sorry, I
Right.
really just don't want to be here. I want to go home. I don't have a particularly good example,
I
but
can give you some good examples for that one. I mean, so we've established, I have my own digital marketing company, firm, whatever term you want to use there. And I make myself available to my direct clients. And in their contract, it states the hours in which you can email or text me anytime you want. These are the hours that you can expect me to respond between, right? 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. I'll respond. Not to say that sometimes I won't respond at 9 o'clock at night, but that's my prerogative. But do not have an expectation of a response past 8 o'clock or before 8 a.m.
Yep.
But sometimes I have to step in, and I have clients who have clients, and I wind up in a go-between role for them. And those people are just off the hook. And they will text at 11:30 at night, and then, again at 11:40, 11:42, 11:47, midnight. Like, why aren't you answering me? I need an answer. I'm trying to plan. And, I finally will text back and go, it's midnight. I'll respond to you during appropriate business hours. Yeah, there's just no. In what world is it okay to text somebody at 11:30 at night to ask them what time their flight is 2 weeks from now?
Right. So I remember this good quote. Not saying it necessarily pertains to the people you're talking about. It might, I don't know. But a good quote that I heard one time was, poor planning on your part does not facilitate an emergency on mine. Right? And so, like you said earlier about the emails and stuff, if I'm giving you all the information, why are you bothering me? Like, I'm not saying you can't bother me, just don't make it over stuff I've already told you, and you just didn't have the time to care enough about it. My wife, as a school teacher, not only does she have students who don't respect her time, which you can kind of understand, they don't have like a grasp on work schedules yet, but even parents who like are super annoyed that, oh, you didn't get back to me on Saturday. It's like, yeah, of course I didn't. I'm a person.
Right.
Like, what do you mean?
Right. I deserve to have time off too. But okay, I have a pet peeve that Hayden doesn't have any pet peeves. What are your pet peeves?
I mean, I have pet peeves. Y'all are just talking about
That don't
things
bother
that
you?
are so, like, I don't know. Well, like, they bother me, but they're just more broad. Like, when I think of a pet peeve, I think of like one specifically for mom is just the constant same noise over and over, like a beeping noise.
I can't
over
deal with
and
it.
over and 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 over, like that. Like, just going and going.
It's like a sensory issue. Like, stop with the repetitive noises. I can't.
Like, that's what I think. Like when I think of pet peeve, like one in particular happens to be with my wife when she's eating. She doesn't she doesn't smack
Okay.
constantly. So look, no, here's the thing. She doesn't smack constantly.
Ever so often.
She will bite her food and chew with her mouth closed like a normal human being does. And then every like fifth bite, it's just one giant smack.
Stop with the giant smacks.
What?
I dude, like, what are you doing?
She's unsticking stuff from the roof of her mouth. So
She's just being a little sassy.
Right.
right.
And both me and her
Sucking
cousin
them
have
teeth.
pointed that out to her.
Oh my gosh,
at this
I could go
point.
on and on with the list of pet peeves.
That's funny.
and-
I love that Hayden's are a lot more dialed down than ours, Mom.
Right, exactly, because you mentioned in your intro not putting things back where they belong.
Yeah.
Seriously. Now, I love my husband, and we got to spend some time with him last week, and I mean, he's a pretty dope dude, but he has no concept for putting things back where it goes, putting the lid back on things, like just put
Like the
he-
toilet scene.
Right, well, it's not even that. I mean, not even that. Well, I don't know that the man has ever put a roll of toilet paper on the spindle in his entire life.
I don't know that a man has done
My
that.
wife doesn't know how to do that either. No, ironically, it's opposite in my house. My wife can't do it. I do it all the time.
I was impressed to come home from New York and he'd changed the paper towels, but then I remembered our housekeeper had been here, so maybe that's who did it. But I mean, we have these two big like glass jars in the pantry at the coffee station, and the little coffee pods are in there. And he'll take the lid off and get the coffee pod out, take out the coffee pod from yesterday and sit it on the coffee bar, make his coffee, and walk away. Lid still off. Yesterday's coffee pot is still there. Today's coffee pot is still in the machine. And he's like, what? What's the big deal?
Mm-hmm.
It's a rotation thing, because then tomorrow he'll throw away the old one, take the
no.
one in the machine out.
Negative. He doesn't throw stuff away.
He sets the trash next to the thing.
Next to the can. You've seen him do it.
You know what? And I know this about your house. There's a trash can right next to the coffee pot.
Yes,
too.
there is.
So-
And there's one right outside the door of the pantry. So
So I have one like that. We've since figured out a resolution for this, but our trash can used to be in like this little closet in the kitchen. So, because like we don't have a lot of space, we live in an apartment, and so it worked better in there. But my wife, even now, sometimes she couldn't fathom opening that door to throw something away. So she'd pull out a whole
She's
new-
chucking on the floor.
No, she'd pull out a whole new trash bag, and that would just sit on the floor.
What? Just sit on the
full of
cabinet or something?
trash. I'm like, there's a trash can right in there with
Bro,
a brand new bag in it.
Like, way to go the extra mile that doesn't make sense.
I know.
Like Jesus said, when someone forces you to go a mile, go 2. She went 3.
I mean, like I said, we've since mitigated that. We moved the trash can out of the closet, so it's there to see.
Yo, object permanence is really a thing, though.
Yeah.
Yo, so then, like, imagine that in reverse, right? Your trash can normally, like, sits outside the closet, and then you move it in the closet, and then with, like, pure reflex, you just throw stuff and it hits the ground instead. Like,
all right, so I have a pet peeve, but then I don't know, is it a pet peeve or am I really just irritated about something? Because I live at the beach. And so in Florida, to get to the beach, you have to cross over the intercoastal waterway. So it's really, where I live, certain people who want to be cool say, we live on the island. Oh, out on the island. I don't know. Is it an island though? Really? I mean, I can see the other side, right? You drive over a bridge. But either way, there's a waterway between me and what would be the rest of Florida. So getting fiber optic cable out here is an ordeal, apparently. We all still have internet coming through cables on the poles and stuff. And every time the wind blows, the internet doesn't work very well. But what my really pet peeve is out in front of my house where the pole is, there's a big, and if you live in Florida, you should know what a scrub palm is, I hate them. there's a big one out there and then a couple little ones growing right around it. And nobody has trimmed them or taken care of them. And they're not on my property. They're just right at the line on my neighbor's property. Nobody takes care of them. Nobody prunes them, trims them, keeps them up. So the wires all have to go through there. And the internet company, oh, it's on private property. We're not going to clean it up. My neighbor doesn't care about it. It doesn't affect her because her internet comes from the pole on the other side. Then I called somebody out here to say, hey, what are you going to charge me to prune this tree? Oh, well, there's live wires. And I mean, it was like $500. So my pet peeve is, but that's why I ask, is it a pet peeve or I'm just irritated that my neighbors don't take care of their palm trees?
Yeah. A little bit of both. I think a pet peeve is something very specific, and you can be annoyed at your pet peeves. And I think it kind of falls in the category of both.
Just buy a $100 pole saw and take care of it. You don't even have to leave your own yard. Just done.
Right. Well, I did kind of think that, but there's a lot of wires that run through that tree. What if I hit the wrong one?
It sounds like the company should have done what they were supposed to do from the beginning. Because then when they come out, they go, "Do you know what happened?" You just go, "No."
Yeah, but they say
we're
it's
still
not. No, I meant I would get electrocuted. Not that I would blow up internet.
Oh, well, yeah, don't do that. I don't care if I blow up the internet. I just don't want to get electrocuted.
Right. Kim Kardashian breaks the internet all the
Lol.
time. So is that a pet peeve or am I just pissed off about something?
I think the answer is yes.
Okay, good.
You know what I don't like?
People. Just people. I'm done. People. Episode over.
I don't like when fandoms, so like of a like movie series or game series or a book series or something like that, will completely feel one way about something when it's first published, and then 5-10 years down the road when it's put into context because more content has been released, they go back and are like, "Oh, that thing was so great." It's like, yeah, but you hated it like a little while ago. The Star Wars prequels is a good example. Another good example is the Metal Gear Solid series. So the Metal Gear Solid 2 came out, and so I've been watching a lot of retrospectives and breakdowns and stuff on the series for some reason on YouTube lately. And the overarching theme is Hideo Kojima, who is the creator of that game, did not want to get stuck in that series, and yet he kept having to make several because people would get frustrated. And so he made Metal Gear Solid 2, which is actually a critique on people who play games in the first place, because he wanted people to give up on it. And he didn't want to have to do anymore. And people hated the game because it was so convoluted and so just obnoxious, really, in its storytelling. Then fast forward to the next few entries, and people are like, "That game is great because it's such a great commentary on today's society, 20 years in the future." And it's like, bro, I don't know, you hated it, and then it turned around and was like, in less than 10-20 years, you're like, "Oh, that was the greatest game ever made." It's just silly. But people do that with all kinds of different stuff.
I have a pet peeve. Do you know what it is, Hayden?
When we talk about video games on this podcast.
Yeah, every episode we wind up talking about Star Wars and video games. Shit, I don't know anything about.
For anybody, because nobody can see us, for everybody to get some context, I was trying very hard not to laugh.
I was just resting my eyes.
I was just ignoring it completely.
The mom put her head back and was like asleep.
She checked out.
I have no idea what y'all are talking about. So
I don't know, man. Y'all talk about sports ball with pigs and stuff, and
I don't ball pigs.
Whatever.
So, wait, what you're saying is I'm the most culturally diverse person on this podcast.
Yes, you are. Technically speaking,
both.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Very correct.
I'm better than you guys.
Many much correct.
I'm better. Haha. Na boo boo.
I made you, so what's that make me?
Mom, that's a fair pet peeve. When there's a conversation going on and you're trying to be a part of it and you just can't because you've got nothing to add to the subject matter.
Right. I mean, it's like I try to, and Hayden can attest because he just accompanied me on this client visit trip to New York, and so he got to see kind of firsthand when I am in the space with clients versus when I'm at home, just, fulfilling the obligations we have to those clients. But when you are in the space of the client, you have to, and I love my clients, don't get me wrong. I mean, I consider both of the clients we visited in New York to also be friends. But you have to kind of
Pander.
be in the conversation, right? So we're at lunch with the first client, and we're at lunch, and she and I are chit-chatting, and Hayden is just like in the corner, like, right? So I keep trying to say,
Happy to be here.
right, I keep trying to say things in the conversation that might give him an opportunity to kind of lean in so he doesn't seem like totally bored or like he doesn't care, right? Because this woman pays him to do, some audio and visual engineering for her. And it wasn't that he didn't care, it was just subject matter that he had nothing to offer, right?
I think I said
So
4
I kept trying to say,
words.
well, and Hayden can share and Hayden can attest to, and what do you think about that, Hayden? And he finally just gives me this look like, can you leave me alone?
Stop. Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of, a pet peeve. I try to include people, but if I don't feel like I can really contribute to a conversation, I try to find a way to excuse myself away from it. Because then there are those people who get on my pet peeve about, do you ever shut up? Just saying.
I think I've kind of really run out of pet peeves, to be honest.
There's no way.
But you know what? I was about to say the same thing, but you know what? We've talked about this before. Hayden is just pretty even, right?
He is mellow.
Yeah, he's pretty mellow, pretty even. So I could see where he doesn't have a lot of pet peeves because he just chooses not to engage with them. Where you and I, we have a little bit of a different,
Right. Well, you know what happens too is like things are very apparent in the moment,
Mhm.
and
Like,
then when
don't
you
get me
have to
wrong.
talk about them when you've not been triggered,
Mhm.
it's a lot harder.
What were you gonna say, Hayden?
Well, it's like, yeah, things will like piss me off or like get on my nerves.
Piss me off.
But as soon as I just like am done with the situation, walk away, I don't think about that shit again.
Right.
I don't care.
Very
Whatever.
much.
That's a healthy mentality.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
like,
that.
I try not to let things get to me like that.
Well, okay. So, yeah, I get where you're coming from. You probably, your blood pressure is probably way better than mine. You probably don't have the issues I had at your age because at your age, I was hell on frickin' wheels, right? Like I wanted to bitch and fight about everything. Everything. And I think, but that really wasn't from a place of I really cared. It was just I was angry for whatever reason, right?
He's angry.
I had teenage angst. And then, life starts to get complicated and hard, and you just don't want to be told what to do because I got this and you're just bugging me, stop talking to me. But somewhere along the way, and we had this conversation over the weekend, somewhere along the way, like in my early 40s, probably, I started feeling like none of this crap matters, right? Why am I wasting my energy on this? None of this crap matters. So I spent a few years not really caring about anything. And then as I got into my later 40s and I really started to think about, and several things in my big components of my life made a shift about that time too. So now it's more of a, I will take on a right or wrong issue. And I will invest in a right or wrong issue. I mean, I'm not going to argue and show my ass like I used to, but I will stand my ground or make my point, kind of like yesterday in the airport. Like, that's stupid. I spent a ton of money in your store. I should be able to sit here and eat my sandwich. It'll take me 10 minutes.
And it wasn't even that good.
It wasn't.
Yeah, but like, why even have chairs if you don't want people to sit
Well,
there?
I mean, and I get it from their standpoint. You take it, you go, so then we can be doubling up. So we're doing go service and table service. My choice was to eat at the table. There wasn't a table open, and now there is, and I've spent my money. So what difference does it make how I ordered? But I'll take up
Pretentious fucks.
right, and I'll get involved in things when I feel like there's an injustice or a right or wrong, and some of them I get a little more passionate about. But I don't dwell so much on things like I used to. A few things will get me worked up, but like don't be mean to dogs. Don't be mean to dogs.
Yeah.
Because I'll chew your
Yeah,
ass
for
out
real.
over that.
Yeah, people who are mean to animals, that's not even a pet peeve. That's a straight up like
Yeah.
Right.
urge to murder. Yeah.
I,
Like,
I'll beat
not good.
someone if I ever find out that they harm animals.
I have a pet peeve that might be a little controversial, right? You know, like when you call somewhere and they're like, press 1 for English and 2 for Spanish or whatever other language. That used to really be my pet peeve. Like, just speak in English, and if someone else needs a different language, they can push buttons. I'm kind of over that because it is what it is. As you know, the population merges and more people become more and more bilingual. I care less about that. But my pet peeve with the automated systems is, okay, so now I've chosen a language. Now I got to choose from these 5 options of why I'm calling, but really none of them are a perfect fit. So I have to take the or other category. And then you start asking me a bunch of the same, like it takes me 10 minutes of butting, button.
Buttoning.
We'll get there eventually.
It takes me 10 minutes of button pushing to finally either get irritated enough that I hang up or I get a live person on the phone, and then not through any fault of that person, but then we have a breakdown in communication because you don't understand me, I don't understand you. The system told you I was calling about one thing, I'm really calling about some. I hate having to get on the phone
Yep.
with like my credit card company or any, big booking or ticketing. I hate it. It's such a pet peeve of mine. I just don't want to get on the phone.
I'll join you in that. I hate making those calls to like any sort of thing like that because first of all, I don't want to be
Right.
making phone calls in the first place, and second, I don't want to deal with all the nonsense or wait on hold for 2
With
hours
crappy
while
hold
you
music.
do whatever you're
Check
doing.
the volume and the
right?
quality of your hold music.
I'm not a people person, so I don't call anyway. I'll just
how do you
deal with
find
it.
stuff
I don't
out?
give a shit.
Yeah,
How do you find stuff
I'm a
out?
homeowner, so it's hard to avoid
Right.
I have a
sometimes.
wife who's responsible.
Okay.
I love that you threw that last part in there. Who's responsible? It's not that she's a woman or anything. Like, it's totally because she's responsible.
I have a pet peeve that all the things that taste good are really high in calories.
Bruh, you're telling me.
I got an issue
Mhm.
with that.
Yeah, it's not very cool. Not very cash money, as they
I have a
say.
pet peeve that chocolate isn't good for
Oh,
you.
so that's my other pet peeve. I've been practicing my middle school slang on
Oh
Hayden
my
all
god.
weekend.
Oh,
Oh yeah. Yeah, because I've been studying up. Like I learned what a Utah fit check is.
a
What was
Utah
the other one I
fit
learned?
check.
A Utah fit check. What was the other one I learned, Hayden?
Something of skibbity toilet water or
What
something.
skibbity toilet
Yeah.
was.
I have no idea what that is
Skibbity
either.
toilet basically means you're cool.
No, it does not. I don't care who said that it did. It doesn't.
So why not just say, "Yo, bro, you're cool"? Why you gotta go? You be skibbity
She's
toilet.
also been using dog water.
Dog water. I like that one.
Oh yeah.
I do like that
But
one though.
but see, that's a compliment in my
Hey,
house because
but-
I give my dog the good water, like out of water bottles and shit sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Me too.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I've got like a filter going on there. Yeah, dude. What are you talking about? So I get the water that's like left outside with extra drool in it and like
Dirt
dirty
and-
bowl and
yeah,
all that.
It's
But
dog
like,
water.
yeah, for people like us who love our dogs like children, it doesn't really track.
So,
man.
but that's a pet peeve. Is why did the 12 to 15-year-olds feel like they have to invent stupid words that there's already a word for?
Every generation does that, honestly. But you know what? While we're on the subject, pet peeve of mine is people who own pets that don't take care of them. Like people who leave their dogs outside all
Tied
day
up to a
long, chained up
tree,
to a pole
right?
or something. Like it's just why even bother? I just want to break into your property and steal that
Or you
dog.
throw your dog outside and it barks all day and you don't care because you've gone to work
Yep.
away from your
My
house.
next door neighbor.
Yeah, mine too. Across the street. Mine too, across the street. But-
So I have a major pet peeve.
Oh.
It's actually surprisingly and shockingly geared towards our listeners.
oh.
Whoa, that they're not listening.
No, I don't think we've had
Just
very many
kidding.
submissions for our weekly thing to Monkey Mischief.
No, Mom puts in a lot of effort on the social media side, and like we all try to reach out to people who are at least close to us, but it doesn't seem like many people engage.
But
it is a bummer.
while we're talking about it, Mom, did you want to run with your Monkey Mischief for the week?
Of course I do. I always want to run with Monkey Mischief. So So what Hayden is referring to is that if I always, well, not always, but I try often enough to let you guys know that if you feel like you have a dad joke, just a dad joke, I don't need a high quality joke, any kind of cool, snappy, thrifty joke. All I need is a good dad joke. You can visit us at monkeysunfiltered.com, and there is a submission form there. And if we choose to use your joke on air, we are going to send you a very cool Monkeys Unfiltered
Sticker.
sticker. You're so funny. So he also made reference to our social media. That is where you find the opening to the Monkey Mischief joke. Every Monday we post the opening to the joke, and you come visit us on Wednesday and we give you the punchline. You do have the opportunity between then and now to lob your guess at the answer to the dad joke in the comments on our social media. So if you were there today, you would have seen that I posted, what did Mr. Peanut say to his wife as he was leaving the house?
Bust a nut.
Oh my god.
No.
Oh,
Bonk. Where's the bonk
oh
stick?
yeah, dude. We need the bonk stick back.
He said, "Don't worry, honey. I'll be back in a jiff."
Oh
Lol.
my god. Wouldn't that imply
Can
that
you
he's
imagine?
dead?
Imagine Peanuts buying peanut butter.
Right. I did have another joke, but it wasn't really a joke. So that, like, there wasn't like a question and then a punchline to it. But I had found this and it was like, overheard online. I got fired from my job today as a masseuse. Apparently I rubbed people the wrong way.
That's a good one. What do you mean?
Yeah,
Well,
well.
you got a twofer.
So it
this
was a
week.
twofer today.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Ba-dum-tsh.
It was a twofer for today.
And I just wanted to be said, I do love our listeners. I wasn't trying to be mean.
All three of them.
while he's being recorded. Once we turn off the recording, though, you guys don't want to know what gets said. I'm just kidding.
Not true. Not true. But I will say this. I was looking at some statistics the other day. We have had an uptick, so we greatly appreciate that. And then we just ask for those of you who are new or who have returned, just let your friends know how cool it is to hang out with the monkeys.
So I will say I do this, and I've heard of multiple people, at least on my end, who kind of missed a few episodes or hadn't really began at all, who like just binge them all back to back. And that's actually a strategy. So like maybe you come in on like episode 11 or something like that, and then like for me personally, I like going back to the beginning and starting just to see the progression. Because if I
definite progression.
If I drop in on episode 306, I doubt I'm going back to episode 1. But like if you're here in like the early 10s, early 20s, whatever, like definitely you can go back to the beginning. I understand like once it's gone too far, but there's been a couple of people who've said to me like, "Hey, I missed a few, but like I just binged them all this weekend or whatever." And like sometimes that's actually the better route to go. So if that works for you, great. Yeah, we just want you to listen.
I wouldn't go back to the beginning because we're much better now than we were then.
Everybody's got to get started somewhere.
The great part too is like they don't tie into each other. Every episode is its own standalone.
It's unique,
thing,
yeah.
So
yeah, you don't miss anything.
Agreed.
You don't miss anything.
There's no through line, at least that we know of. Somebody in like 20 years will be doing retrospectives on Monkeys Unfiltered. Like, what does this all mean?
What were they trying to tell the world?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah, literally nothing.
Literally nothing. We were just BSing.
I don't know. We did have an episode about like dumb laws and stuff.
We did.
We told
and Hayden
some
taught
things.
us all about F1 racing.
Yeah. There's a few things we've told you a few things.
Yeah. We tell you a lot of stuff. None of it is like gonna, change your world, but except for the F1
you
racing.
judge for yourself whether it matters.
all right. Bring us home, Jason.
Yeah.
On the spot.
Thanks everybody for listening. Okay, so it wasn't all pet peeves. Sometimes some of it was just banter or whatever. That's fine.
That happens a lot with us, though.
Yeah. But you know what? Everything's content, right? Whenever you talk into a microphone, it's content. So here we are.
Maybe we should be the three squirrels because we can't pay attention.
Oh my
Yeah, dude. But thank you all for tuning in. We appreciate you coming back week after week. It means a lot to us that you would take some time out of your day to listen to the insane ramblings of two madmen and their mother. It's
I love it.
it's a pleasure to be in a position where we have things to say and people care enough to listen. So thank you all for tuning in. Hope you had a good time, and we'll see you at the same time next week.
Adios.
Bye. I'm having a hard time today.
Dude, I don't know what's happening.